Welcome to Cloudscapes, your go-to podcast for all things cloud native. Our aim here is to keep it real and have down-to-earth chats about the cloud, to also help you learn something new and be inspired on your cloud journey.
I'm Teppo Suominen, your host and team coach here at UpCloud, and with me, as always, my wonderful co-host Jannika Jokinen, a sales lead at UpCloud. And today I have the honor to welcome with us our esteemed guest, Arno Schäfer, our very own CEO at UpCloud. A warm welcome, Arno. Nice to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's dig into it. Of course, you've been with UpCloud for about half a year now. So let's talk a little bit. Why did you join? So what made you actually say yes to the role and, well, UpCloud in general?
That's a very good question. So basically, they actually, I have actually three things basically to what kind of made me join UpCloud. Is one is I think the topic itself. I think cloud industry, cloud infrastructure. There's probably not really much in the world right now which is more compelling, which is more exciting than actually cloud. And the second thing is basically, when I first got in contact with UpCloud, with the board, with the founder, with UL, I think it was really, exciting for me to see, the technical possibilities, the product. But also I saw the untapped potential of UpCloud, which kind of also, made me think to kind of, there's chance and room to develop that company further.
Yeah.
So, of course, you don't want to join a company when everything goes super well. Of course, you also want to see, developments, which you can actually influence. So that's probably the second point in a nutshell. And the third is, I think, throughout my career, I've been working with, software, with, media, B2B, tech and services, so to speak. So advertising, technology, media, consulting, HR tech. So I just thought programmatic advertising. So I just thought, that kind of technical, application is something for me. And that, basically, kind of, struck me.
Yeah. No, that is, I think, really interesting when you start to think about that. Okay, what are actually the challenges and what are the, potential and how should I or how I could contribute in those. So that's always quite interesting, at least I would say.
For sure, yeah.
But then, of course, you tapped this a little bit, but let's dig a bit deeper into what stood out to you as the most exciting part of the, journey ahead when you visioned, being the potential new CEO.
I think, first of all, and it's probably, really fair to say that, UL, the founder, is a very, very smart person. And that actually also was, one of the reasons to join UpCloud. And that was actually even, when I worked with him on a daily basis, that it was so inspiring just to talk to him, to get this knowledge. I mean, it's not his first company either. So he's really, let's say, a legend, I would say, in the cloud business. So that actually, was super compelling to me since, as I said, I mean, I'm not an expert in cloud for, 20 years. So I was probably, coming from other, software and tech fields. So that was basically one of the things which was actually super great. And I think also what really stood out is that I really never worked in a company with such a great talent and with so much smart people. And I think that's also one of the things which was really surprising to me. Especially when I first did the interviews, get to know everyone and really understood the product, and every conversation was super inspiring and super smart. So that was actually something which really surprises me in a positive way.
That's good, of course.
Yeah, and also I think that the energy everyone has, in building this company further, and then really kind of pushing and very proactive, and this positive energy, and that was actually something which is really rare, and I think that actually surprises me a lot. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and of course we've at least been really happy that you've been here with us for the past 6 months. And then if we think about a bit of your time that you joined, so what was then the most surprising thing you recognized when you then eventually joined UpCloud?
Well, I think, as I said, basically, with the daily work with everyone was actually super interesting and also surprising at the same time, and getting to know the products and the possibilities. And I think one thing which kind of confirmed what I realized before when I had the first talks, actually end of last year already. So is that actually there's so much things to win and so much things to change, also in a positive way. So I don't want to overstress, let's say, the geographical, let's say, culture of Finnish people versus maybe other Europeans.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes the Finnish culture could actually use more bragging, basically more talking about the good things, more being proud of basically the achievements. And I think that's something what I also was basically when I first spoke with also a lot of clients, they actually told me, why are you not more active in the market? So why I don't see you, around? And basically that's something where actually one client told me that you're kind of a hidden champion. That also, stood with me, and is something which I really, it's on us basically to change that. And that's also one of my big things I want to, attack in the future, to really, make sure that, starting in the Nordics market, of course, that everyone kind of knows, UpCloud. And once they have a cloud decision, running, that they think of us.
This is a really great point that kind of shows that you come from the European view, because there's a Finnish joke, actually, that whenever we cross the bay, that is the Sweden, we start like up here at home, like, oh, we're the best, we're so great. Then we go across the bay, like, oh, it's nothing really. We just got this thing, like, you wouldn't care about it. And we need a bit more of we are really good at what we do attitude, and let people know that we've got a cool thing going. So it's really great to have that idea and energy and move that forward, because we Finns easily do get into the shoegazing business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also makes it interesting for me. Basically, it's also like a challenge, here and there. But it also makes it, super nice. And again, why would you work, somewhere when you don't make an impact? So that's basically, of course, my big, goal to hopefully make an impact and to change things for the better and develop things, so build things.
Indeed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and we also discussed a bit about, how you're excited about the cloud industry in general. And of course, it's, exciting business to be in. So then when we think about UpCloud's role in the whole cloud ecosystem, how do you see UpCloud's unique role in the whole broader cloud ecosystem in the, European and global context?
Yeah, it's actually kind of, it's kind of related to what I just said. So obviously, I think if you look at, UpCloud's product and services, it's European based. It's, it's based in Helsinki. Has a really broad, a number of data centers, 13 and, 9 in Europe. So I think that's really, is, one of the top cloud infrastructure providers in Europe. If not basically under the top 5, even if you calculate the hyperscalers in. So there's really a really, good base we can basically develop and move further. So I think that's actually something we can really, exploit more as a company and as UpCloud. And I think with basically the whole, let's say, industry developments right now, we kind of always, have this kind of joke that, in the US, basically, the current president is basically our best salesperson because of all the things he's kind of, initiating that also drives a lot of companies in Europe towards European solutions. And, with the compliance of, GDPR and the AI Act, I think that's also is a very, good developments we can completely kind of, make use of. And we see that every day. You're also being, of course, in contact with clients every day. Yeah. So you see that there's a necessity of actually, making sure that, we comply with all that, and that our services are really, alongside those requirements. I think that's actually is a good thing. But again, coming back to the point, I think complacency and basically being happy with the status quo is not what I'm actually aiming for. So, we are really, currently we have ambitious goals, and I think that's something we can still develop further. Yeah,
definitely. All right, let's look a bit into the past. Maybe you've been a consumer more of cloud products in the past, but of course you've been looking in on what's happening, and now you are working within the cloud industry, making changes here. But In the past decade and even longer, but especially the last 10 years, cloud solutions have become quite ubiquitous with modern business tech. A lot of times companies don't even think about the choice anymore. We go to the cloud. But from your point of view, why is cloud essential when you think about the overall business strategy of a company?
That's it's interesting. Also, it's also one fun thing. Basically, what I learned when I joined, UpCloud, that basically, obviously, the majority of our new clients are actually not coming from on premise, but actually they're coming from other cloud providers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So basically, that's actually also shows me something. So I would expect that basically I have to be more of an evangelist, to people and say, hey, the cloud is great. And then you have the latest hardware, no maintenance, no worries, and all that. But I think that also shows, especially in the Nordics, of course, that's, it's among the highest, penetration, in Europe. So it's much higher than, for instance, Germany or France or other countries. So I think that's of course is one of the reasons. I think the, kind of the making sure that you have the latest services. And I think speed and agility, I think, is also becoming much more important now than it has been, over the last years. And I think, of course, also simply the amount of data, companies store and companies need to process. I think that's even another reason. And I think also with the decline of the hardware server prices, but also on the other hand, you have this increasing new demand of AI, which is also of course fueling our services and our business as well. So I think there are a couple of developments which kind of show that still even the cloud is something companies need to look at, and I think. Maybe that's probably one of the main major points on that one. Yeah.
And maybe something to add there is a thing that we've discussed during the season with a lot of the other guests we've had is the scalability. Not really a problem anymore because most of the times the cloud is what you use to solve it. So when you're not sure how much capacity you will need, for example, with AI, the amount of data can vary a lot. Then using cloud and utilizing the resources that you have at a click's notice, you can get more of a data storage or more servers or more memory or whatever you need. Just helps companies be ready to face the challenges that are coming.
Completely. It's also basically one of the reasons, why people choose UpCloud, of course, because we are obviously super transparent and super flexible on that. We can switch between private cloud, public cloud easily, and I think that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also when we think about the business strategy, usually the technology decision is based on some kind of business goal or business challenge, even that what do you need to solve and what the technology needs to enable. And that's why I think it's been really interesting to see how the shift is also moving towards the cloud decision. So it's not only about what kind of applications, what kind of CRMs are we using, what kind of AI tools we're using. It's also about how can we actually focus on our business and using the infrastructure that supports our business goals the best. And I think that's quite interesting shift that's been happening in the past years as well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
You all already kind of touched on this, but I want to go a bit deeper. So you mentioned, of course, that we have, for example, visibility and clear usage. But when a business is choosing a cloud provider today, what should they be looking out for? What are the key things from your point of view?
Well, I think, of course, price is, we still kind of, see that there's always an issue, of course. But even I would even say that that not only price is something to look at, but also the flexibility, of course, the performance, the scalability you just mentioned, and I think that's something probably which is really important to choose a certain cloud provider. We have been very open and very transparent in terms of pricing. We have no egress costs, which of course is a big plus if you talk with clients. But I think also the products we're using, UpCloud Essentials, meaning full feature set, basically of premium services, basically available at no additional costs. I think there are probably things which are important. Having said that, basically, that's of course is one one reason, but I think also the technical capabilities, of course, that's probably something to think about, when choosing, a certain a cloud provider. And then what we also touched earlier, basically the whole, let's say, GDPR, European Union sovereignty issue, which basically is super, super relevant for a lot of our clients. So basically, if you are a company in Europe, you definitely have to deal with that. And we all know, how the hyperscalers are dealing with data. It's not always, in the way, of course, they claim that they are kind of, complying with, with the European laws, but we all know that not to the full extent. I mean, there also had been kind of examples with Microsoft, with the European Commission. I think that's probably known to the audience of this podcast. So I think there's a couple of things which are important to choose a certain provider. Yeah.
Sure. Of course, it boils down to the base stack, so to speak, having to perform. But then you've got, like you mentioned, all of these things on top of that, which kind of direct the choice. Because I think when you look at the whole scene of cloud infrastructure companies at the moment, I think everybody has kind of the base stack together, and then it becomes to like, what's the actual value you add on top of offering the hardware?
Probably, the whole, let's say, EU sovereignty and compliance topic is probably for a lot of clients actually even more important than performance or than speed. Because I think that's exactly, the point. And what we also see, when talking with our clients, that, the whole, let's say, data, recovery, topic is something where, the most important data core they want, to basically have, within a European sovereign solution.
Yeah, and I think also when I speak, for example, with a lot of customers, you can clearly see that customers aren't used to thinking that, okay, we just want all the newest bells and whistles, just everything right now, and we're just going to use it all. And now I think that's also changing, as you said as well, that they're actually evaluating that, hey, we have this kind of product or we have this kind of use case. Maybe we can benefit from this provider for this one. But then what about for this one? We actually care more about data compliance, for example. So maybe we should think about the overall strategy once more, that we don't have to use all the bells and whistles for everything. So that's indeed a good point.
No, exactly. I mean, also which one point you just touched. Also, I mean, is the vendor lock-in. Basically, once you choose a certain a cloud provider, very often you're really locked in. So it's difficult for you to switch and to migrate. And I think that's one thing where we also see that even on our clients. We see that basically when they choose UpCloud, that they could actually switch very fast to other providers, but actually the churn is super, super low. So basically there's no reason to churn and there's no reason to switch. So I think that's actually even also a nice kind of confirmation of our services.
It's actually interesting because, of course, my point of view is a lot more technical because I work from the tech side day to day, and even there we are seeing a lot more ask for multi-cloud vendor setups. Like customers are asking, are we able to work with, like Jannika said, this part is with you and this part is with another, and we're like, yes, we can make it happen. But a lot of times, like you said, it comes to like, oh, well, we don't actually need this. It all works with you. But it is definitely something that is an ask from the customers. They're a lot more aware of the cloud market in general, and they kind of they know what to ask for a lot of times nowadays.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay, then let's continue to the next topic. We've been talking already a little bit about the European situation and the whole market in Europe. So then, if we think about the current geopolitical situation and what's happening in the whole world, why, in your mind, should businesses care about data sovereignty, and what challenges does it present?
I think that actually also changed, in the last, probably month and last 12 months on this whole, sovereignty thing. So I'm actually super convinced that, to comply to European laws and to build, European sovereignty cloud, is something which is the core strategic necessity today. So it's not only, I think it was an option before. So, it would be nice if we can do that. But I think that has changed.
Yeah, more like a nice to have. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not a nice to have, but it's actually a must have. Yeah. And we see that actually, every day when we talk with clients. So that this is something which is super, super important. I think it's super important to basically to realize that that having to follow a EU sovereignty cloud and is not something which you kind of just should have, but actually you could have. It's actually a must have today. So I think that changed a lot, over the last, months, with geopolitical, let's say, topics, with the whole developments, coming from the US and the whole discussions. Now we see also basically from, I mentioned, Microsoft. I mean, there was this, this case where basically, even like a Microsoft manager on oath basically said, of course, we cannot guarantee that the data stays in Europe. So that could be moved to the US. But also basically that, Microsoft, basically, withdraw data, knowingly to the European Commission, basically, which are kind of critical data to the US. So I think that's something which is happening. But also you see that, there are, currently some developments from the hyperscalers to pretend that actually they are European. But I think I also shared an article on LinkedIn on that a couple of weeks ago, that this is basically not the truth. And of course, they want to pretend that this is happening. But I think that actually, the whole geopolitical, developments is actually something which ignites us as a European provider, and also shows that Europe has to stand up as a kind of way of in doing business in the cloud field, and all European countries should kind of really see what's happening right now, and you see that development moving on right now. Yeah.
And that is actually a good point as well. If we think about the discussions we've had during the podcast season, there's been multiple chats about how relying on European partners, whether it's with the infrastructure or another application that you can partner up with, that it's actually a competitive advantage, especially when you serve the European market and European customers.
And even globally, there's definitely a rising trend that European also means that you can, if they say that, hey, we know where your data resides, we can promise like data residency and everything, and then it's trustworthy. Yeah. Because like you said, with hyperscalers, it's a bit of a painted on version at the moment.
No. And also, it also kind of complies to that. I mean, again, of course, it's difficult not to speak about UpCloud if you're in an UpCloud podcast. But basically, of course, with our 9 data centers in Europe, of course, a lot of clients, of course, they love the proximity, of their data to the data center, whether it's Frankfurt, Helsinki, Stockholm, or whatnot. So I think that's actually also something which is where we actually see a lot of drive and demand from. Yeah.
I have to bring this up again from a bit of a technical perspective. You mentioned that like European companies need to step up in this, and I think that here, right at this time, we're in a very interesting space because GDPR has been going on over 5 years, I believe, is the count. And when it came, like every European company was kind of I guess we have to, and nobody really liked to do it because it was just extra work. But now that the global market has changed somewhat, we are a few steps ahead because we've been practicing and we know how to create these data sovereignty systems. We know how to promise that your data will reside in a certain location. We know how to do that separation. Now we just need to make sure that we are on top of it. Whereas the hyperscalers have kind of been like, we don't really care about that. Let's just slap a sticker on it. It's good. And in that sense, we're ahead. And now is the time when we can leverage that and bring that to the market and actually serve the customer need that is there, which is a very interesting kind of time and place to be at, I believe.
Yeah, that's exactly, what I said at the beginning. That's interesting times. And I think, also in my personal network, everyone, basically who found out that, I'm now, basically, running a cloud company, I said, wow, this is crazy. If you look at other fields, I mean, they're actually not so interesting. So I think that's really a good thing and a good place to be, and I'm happy, of course, to be part of it.
It's like super exciting times.
Yeah,
that's right.
And then, of course, also when you think about cloud, it's a necessity for technically any company. But then when you are buying a CRM, it actually makes your life easier. But when you think about a certain point, you can live without it for X amount of time. Of course, it makes your life much easier. But, with cloud, usually it's,
A CRM you can, in theory, replace with pen and paper. With cloud, I'm not sure.
Hopefully not pen and paper, though.
Probably not.
But yeah. Well, then we've been talking about this today quite a lot. But if we think about European cloud providers like UpCloud is, what role do they actually play when offering a trusted and compliant alternative to the hyperscalers?
I mean, UpCloud, or let's say, I think basically, we touched a lot of points already. So I think the proximity basically to our clients, with the number of data centers is one thing, but I think also the pricing and the products as well. If I just pick one thing is the hardware. We are basically completely exchanging. I think 2/3 of the hardware will be replaced this year. So with the latest hardware, so we're probably one of the cloud providers, with the newest hardware in Europe. And also, I think the whole, let's say, development on AI. We just, recently, published a partnership with Cloud2, where we also built, a sovereign cloud for a partner. I think we are expanding, a lot in these topics, and that's of course something where I think we can really make a difference as a company. Not only from price, because if you offer something in the market, it's always easy to be the cheapest. But I think the best, the Champions League is basically if you are not only very attractive in terms of price, but also performance and agility and scalability, and the products are actually that clients are actually choosing you. Yeah.
Offering high quality products at an affordable price.
Exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, maybe actually just jumping forward into that in a sense. What are some common mistakes that businesses make from your point of view when managing the cloud costs? You did mention price, and it is, of course, a big deciding point whenever you choose something.
Yeah, I think it's probably, price is, of course, one thing, but in a negative way, maybe to focus too much on price.
Exactly, yeah.
Basically, not realizing that it's more than just price. So it's also, sometimes if you just, have all this bells and whistles in the system, and basically that you have certain features you're actually paying, but you're actually not using. And you have, also internal resources to build and adapt and, integrate them. So basically you're building, technical debt when basically, putting stuff, into your company and into the whole, let's say, personal internal ecosystem, which you actually don't need. And I think a lot of those, mistakes are probably also exactly the vendor locked in we spoke about. So basically, if you choose for one cloud provider, you're really locked in, so you cannot really switch. And I think it should be, for every company, it should be very easy to switch their cloud providers, if the requirements have changed. And I think that's exactly where I think a lot of mistakes, are being done. Maybe in a positive sense, focus too much on price without basically, knowing what the implication is afterwards.
For sure. Then on the other end of the spectrum, maybe we already discussed a bit the performance and simplicity have always been important to us at UpCloud. It's basically where the whole idea spun up 15 years back. But what are the things that then set us apart from the pack of other competitors, maybe?
I think what's really interesting is that we actually, at least that's my perception, and also I think that's the heritage of UpCloud, over the last 10, 12 years, is that we put clients first. So that we really listen to our clients, what they need, I mean, we're coming from a small, medium business, let's say, sector. So we basically know how the developer tribe thinks, what they need, what their requirements are. So I think that's one thing. And of course, price. I mean, we touched it is one thing, but also having the best ratio between price and basically performance. So I think we have a couple of points which we can probably mention here. Is one probably the zero across fees, which is also one thing where probably some companies don't realize when they sign a contract with a cloud provider what kind of really immense fees they're basically signing up for. And once they realize, it's basically too late because and then the other thing kicks in, the vendor locked in.
Yeah.
So I think that's something which we actually don't do. We have a zero across fees. I think another maybe prominent example is UpCloud Essentials, where we have really a bundle of premium services which normally costs at other cloud providers, but it's actually free with us. So I think that's probably two points I would mention here. And I think the other one, basically the number of data centers, the proximity, and I think the flexibility is probably also one of the reasons why people chose us.
Yeah, and maybe I can add something there from the customers that I work quite closely with. That if we think about UpCloud, of course, we spoke about all the fanciest bells and whistles in the market. We know that we don't offer 300 different services. We offer core services, cloud-native services for businesses to actually focus on their core business, and we can, help them with that. So then technically, there's, of course, things that we're all the time developing and improving on our business, and we listen to our customers when doing so. So it's actually, we are growing together with our customers and actually enhancing the product offering based on the feedback that we get from the market. And I think that's at least seen as quite valuable when, talking with people who are working with tech.
No, completely. I mean, just to add one point we're just doing a survey, currently with all our clients. So I think that also I'm super excited to see the results there. What kind of products, that the clients would actually maybe need, or what kind of, where are they happy, where could we improve? And I think that's stuff. I mean, you just did the web hosting, survey. I think we're really active in listening, to our clients. And I think that's also valuable and appreciated very much. Yeah,
for sure. And maybe to expand, we discussed on this a bit earlier with the customer interaction. Of course, our support is also something that is mentioned a lot of times by the customers. It's in-house and very high quality. The customers get the help they need immediately and with the technical acumen to actually get the help and get their problem solved immediately and easily.
Yeah.
From your perspective, how is UpCloud positioning itself to lead the next phase of cloud growth in the market?
I think we are actually, quite well positioned. I mean, from basically what being discussed, also earlier. So I think from product-wise, I think we expanded, our product portfolio, massively, in the first, half of 25, and we will basically also, in the second half. So I think there are some major developments which are coming up. So that's probably one thing from a product side. I mean, you mentioned support is something, and I think it's exactly interesting. Once you realize that basically not everyone is providing that support, then you realize what a big advantage that is. So I think that's of course a big thing. And I think the whole, let's say, development on basically the EU sovereignty. So basically we are based in Helsinki, so we're a European company, and we see that this is really which kind of makes a difference. And we're also thinking a lot in partnerships. So if we cannot develop something ourselves, or we don't want to, we're actually aiming for partnerships. We're actually talking with quite interesting partners at the moment, which will also expand our services massively. So especially in the AI business. So I think there are a couple of reasons, and I think we are actually quite well positioned. But also again, I mean, as I said earlier, I don't want to be too complacent. I think there's a lot of things we need to do, and of course, it's my goal to kind of make sure that everyone realizes that we're not there yet. So I think the market is growing and the market is developing, but I think there's nothing is hindering us basically from even performing better. So I think that is of course my my goal and my objective in my daily work, and also to untap that Finnish potential more in Europe.
Yeah, I do like the phrase Finnish potential. Yeah,
For sure.
Then, from your perspective, you're of course now seeing quite deeply inside the cloud company and what's happening with the cloud. So when we think about business leaders in companies, what's the key message you would like to give them when they are considering to reevaluate their cloud strategy?
I think it's actually pretty easy. So I think every business leader should ask themselves, is it important where your data is stored? And if the answer is yes, and you actually don't know whether in your current setting where the data is stored, you should probably rethink your cloud strategy. So I think that's probably maybe in one sentence what I would advise to every business leader. Once it's important where the data is, and you really cannot say, you should probably think about an alternative.
Yeah, that sounds
very good distillation of it.
And then maybe a bit more personal opinion or a view to the topic. We discussed quite a lot about why did you join UpCloud and what's been nice about it and so forth. But then if we think about what are you most proud of so far personally?
I mean, proud. I'm actually super proud of everyone in the company, and as I said, earlier, I'm really excited and really pumped by the quality of the talent in this company. And as I said, I mean, I think the company has developed really nicely over the last years, and Joel as the founder has done a great job, and also the previous CEO, of course, to develop the company where it is now. And I think that's actually where I feel there's a lot of things we can be proud of. But I think also what I'm also proud of is the way and the level of adoption also from everyone I spoke to. So I think this openness towards maybe doing things differently. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you also know we also have been a little bit of restructuring here and there, where I think we can probably could have done better. Moving closer to the client and maybe eliminating some internal, things which are not necessary to actually serve the client. So I think that's something where I'm also super proud of, that this is, has been adapted so fast and also so thoroughly. And I'm actually even, more excited if I keep that in my head, basically what's possible. I think that's probably, is that a good answer? I don't know. I mean, that's probably something which comes to my mind right now. Yeah.
That's fair enough. And then, if we think about the worries, has something come into your mind on that front?
Yes, I think I'm always striving to develop and for the best, basically. So I think there's of course one saying that the good is basically the enemy of becoming better and the best. So I think if we are too complacent, if we're just too fine where we are, and to kind of say, hey, we grew with X%, so that's fine, and let's just that's not my world. So I'm really throughout my career, I really would love to. I'm happy to build, and I would love to develop, and I think that's something where I constantly hopefully, push the organization, every day to develop and to rethink and to push even harder. So I think that's something what's actually my worry, that we are just going with the flow, that we go with the market growth, and we kind of just develop, in a nice, smooth way. And that's actually not what I want. So I have very ambitious goals.
Right. Brilliant. Thank you so much. We've got a short set of 4 questions. No one is safe.
Wow.
So you will get our fast 4 as well. What is currently the cloud trend that you see currently emerging in Europe that interests you the most? We've gone through a lot of them, but what's the one if you had to pick?
I think it's probably the development of AI is something which, I mean, we are, focusing a lot also internally, but also externally. And we also, try to, let's say, adapt internally in terms of our organization, in terms of how can we do, things internally better, from vibe coding to other stuff. So I think that's of course something we are looking at, and which is kind of also related to that. That's probably the biggest, trend I see. And I think, the development from, obviously, we're very strong in the CPU business, but also now with, we actually expanding with the GPU. And I think that's also probably something. And of course, we all know let's say the inference models which are coming up. That's also, something which, of course, is getting more and more important. And we will also have an answer to that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Then when you're not navigating the cloud, what would you say is your favorite place on Earth?
Favorite place on Earth? I wouldn't even tie it to the place. I would say basically to my attitude and my mindset. Mm-hmm. And I think I love, nature, and I love, mountains. And I actually, like to be, of course, because I'm talking a lot every day and meeting a lot of people. Also, enjoy just being for myself, in the mountains, just hiking. And that's probably, where what I really, like.
Yeah. Is there one specific hiking place or nature that you really is like, oh, I really love that place?
I'm actually, because I also studied, in the US, so I have seen, many national parks.
Yosemite?
Yosemite, and of course Grand Canyon, Zion, and I mean there's, and there's a lot of, nice places there, and I think I like that, a lot. So I think that's one, and I like also let's say the completely opposite to the normal, especially in the US, to the normal life in the US, and basically in those national parks, which are, from my perspective, kind of underappreciated. And but also in Europe, I mean, of course, that's. I actually also did, even before joining UpCloud, I did, a Lapland snowmobile tour.
Oh, wow.
And that was also quite interesting. And, with the whole package, Northern Light, and that was actually also, and I had one moment at the Barents Sea, basically in Norway, where I was, standing there and it was completely silent. And that was such a magical moment. That's actually, I actually think a lot about those moments, when it's quite hectic. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. All right. Then can you name a book, movie, or an experience that has had a great impact on you?
I think book, it's probably it's quite, I would say old, but I think it's probably medium old. Starts with a Y, Simon Sinek. But also another one, business book is probably, The Hard Things About Hard Things from Ben Horowitz. It's probably also 5 or 6 years old. It's a nice, book for entrepreneurs, when you basically have to, make decisions. And that's actually quite interesting. Probably more from a personal, not business-related perspective. There's one book, I don't even know whether I pronounced the author right. It's from Rutger Bregman. I think it's called Humankind. And I think that's actually, it has a nice, thesis that basically, and everyone is actually a good person, and we overrate basically the evil and the bad in the world. And I think that's actually very inspiring and, a good book to read. So, and of course, experience, I probably have to say, the birth of my son, of course. So that's probably something which, of course, was very special.
Definitely worth shaping.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
A book, maybe I can also add a series, White Lotus.
Right.
I don't know if you know that series.
Oh, yeah, I know the TV series.
Oh, God, I loved it so much. I mean, this is so sarcastic and so funny.
Yeah. All right, there's a lot of recommendations. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, then one last question. We are at the end. So what's one thing you wish people would take away from today's conversation?
it's probably hard to say in one sentence, but I think to probably have a better and a more compelling picture of UpCloud, that's maybe one sentence. Yeah.
Good.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Arno, anything to add from your side at this point, or?
Well, as first of all, thank you, and for the opportunity to be here.
Of course.
On the other hand, I also have to push a compliment in your side, because basically, I mean, it's obviously the finish of the first episode of Cloudscapes, and I actually you wouldn't believe it, but I listen to every episode. And I think you're really doing a great job, and I think that's really very inspiring. But it's also exactly comes in line with what we need to do with UpCloud more. Basically, talk about it, get people engaged. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you for the compliments and of course for being with us today. But like you said, we are, with this episode, done with the first season of Cloudscapes. So thank you so much to everybody who has listened, and especially, of course, those guests who have joined us here, either in the hot seat in the office or online. And it's been great to, of course, have people take the time and have these great conversations throughout the season and be able to show that it's working in the cloud is more than just buying a server from somewhere and putting stuff on it. There's a lot going on. The space is living and breathing. It's evolving all the time. And it's, as we've discussed today, quite exciting. And well, of course, to all of our listeners, if you have not listened to all of the episodes of season 1 yet, do that. We hope that you enjoy these conversations and learn a bit. And of course, definitely let us know what you would like to hear next. And thank you so much for being here with us on this season. And thank you, Jannika. Thank you, Arno.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
With that, I guess it's the season 1 out.